Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. Thanks for joining us for another video. And Newcastle's Dan Ashworth is the top candidate to become the sporting director at Manchester United. Also in other news, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been given the double approval from the Premier League and the FA today to complete his stake in Manchester United. There's plenty to discuss in today's video, Reds, so get involved in the chat and we will try and discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. But first of all, I think the big news, the big update that we all want is, how have you been sleeping this week?
Listen, my sleeping's got a lot better. The last 4 games have been stressful, so my sleeping's got better. Even my back's got better. I've been out on my bike. So, you know, that's the update on my physical well-being.
Yeah, I'm just going to read out an update here from Laurie Whitwell on the approval for Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And it says the FA approval now confirmed for INEOS investment into MUFC. Completion still requires tender offer closing next week, then likely a gap as final details tied up. Exact date not yet set, but it looks like things are moving closer.
Yeah, well, the FA and that approving it, that's should be delightful to everyone's ears. Obviously, this technicality is what's going on. That's business. That's what it is. A few crosses, few I's, and all that to be crossed. So at the end of the day, next week, probably the week after, business will be completed. But great news for everyone, to be honest with you. INEOS got the approval. Now they can start planning, and that's what we want to see.
What do you think the plans are going to be? As we've seen, and we're going to get into today's video, is Dan Ashworth, and he looks like the top candidate as well to become the sporting director here at Manchester United.
Well, he looks the top candidate from all the reports, but I'm not getting overjoyed with this. I'm not going overboard with it. I look at the Dan Ashworth. I've looked at him. West Bromwich Albion, good CV. No two ways about it. Worked with the FA. No two ways about it. Good CV. Brighton, we all know what happened with Brighton. Got some great signings there. Casemiro, Lamptey, for instance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a few players.
Yeah, quite a few players there. Did really well. Gone to Newcastle. Not really been there that long. Big project what he was brought in for. Top of the tree. That's why they brought him in, Newcastle. But there's question marks over him, you know. And if you look at Tonali from AC Milan, where was the due diligence there? Do you know what I mean? 10-month ban. They brought him in 55 million. He's in charge of that. People seem to be ignoring that. And
but is that not just a little blemish on a top CV that he's got at multiple clubs, though?
No, not really. It's the press building him up. That's how I see it. I'm not saying he's good or he's bad or whatever. I'm just holding back on going overboard. Everyone seems to be going overboard. I look at him, his Brighton work and that, and there's people coming out the word going, he's not the only one what signed him. He wasn't just him what did all the work. You know what I mean? So there is little mumblings in the bat as if to say, Ashworth, Dan Ashworth, everyone seems to be giving him the praise as though it's all down to him. Now, at Newcastle, there he is. You know, got to wait and see. They obviously, INEOS, Sir David Brailsford's worked with him. They know all about him. So they're confident that he's the right man. And when I say the right man, they're looking for best in class. And they look at him as best in class. And that's fine. But I'm not going overboard. And to be honest, no one really should go overboard until he's given time. That's if he comes in. And I'm not happy at the way this is being dealt with, looking to bring in.
You just say you're just closed on there. You're not happy with how it's been dealt with. You know, tell me what you actually mean by that.
Well, what it is, to me, it looks as though like certain reporters are being briefed by INEOS. And to be honest with you, this has to be unsettling for Newcastle. I don't understand the approach what's being done here, especially when you look at Omar Barindi. Barada, sorry. Straight in, right out the blue, everyone's shocked. Looked like a new approach, not like the old days under Glazers and all that, like reporters, and it drags out and drags out. This seems to have been going on for a while, and certain reporters have been briefed. Now, it must be unsettling for Newcastle, and if it was a Newcastle fan, or if it was a Newcastle owner, I would not be happy with what's going on, trying to unsettle my club. It's as though like they're a small club. They're not a small club anymore. They've got everything there. They've got the infrastructure. They've got the money. And they've got plans going forward. So the way this is being approached through the media doesn't sit well with me. And I'm sure Newcastle are going to fight back here At the end of the day, it's not the right way to go. And I thought United were acting more professionally under INEOS. And straight away, it seems to have gone back the old ways. So I'm not happy in the way it's been conducted through the media. United, yes, is the #1 target according to everybody. We'll speak to the man. Should have spoke to him last month, the month before, and they haven't done that. And it doesn't sit well with me. I might just be nitpicking. I might just be moaning. I might just be getting old. I don't know. I might just be going on with myself. But the thing is, I thought we was going to be acting in a more professional manner.
Surely then the journalists have thought to themselves, especially with that deal with Omar Barada that was done, or they've been speaking to him ever since December, early December. They're looking at it now and they've got to act up themselves, get up levels to standard as journalism and just get out there and try and find these stories themselves, because, you know, a lot of things have gone under the radar.
Yeah, but United could have made contact months ago. INEOS could have made contact months ago. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, they've done the same with Omar. Without a shadow of a doubt, that might have been over 6, maybe 9 months. We don't know the facts yet, right? So at the end of the day, the talk is talk about we're going to make contact. That does not sound professional to me. And unsettling a football club will make them disgruntled and they might just dig their heels in here. So there might be problems down the line here.
So you'd have preferred this story to be maybe at a stage where there has been contact between Manchester United and Newcastle, and it's maybe only the final details to be wrapped up, and then all of a sudden he's announced as a sporting director at United.
Well, I think United should have made contact. That's how it should have been. Just a little chat through and saying, right, we know him, we spoke to him, we've worked with him, we appreciate the work he does, we think he's the top man, we are going to come in with a bid, have a look at it, have a discussion between yourselves, we're coming back to you. That's not been done. By all accounts, United, it's being said today that they're going to make contact. That just sounds silly to me, absolutely silly. And to brief reporters to try and undermine and unsettle a football club, and a club what actually sees itself right up there and going to be up there in Europe, around the world and everything.
But so maybe you've got to give a bit of praise here to the actual journalists who are breaking this story as well, for actually doing a good job journalism-wise.
I don't think
David Ornstein last night, he was the one who I seen personally, the first one to break it. And in the tweet he put out, he said, Man United make Dan Ashworth top target for sporting director. Not agreed, plus no approach to Newcastle yet, but it's anticipated. Situation expected to develop rapidly. Complicated by being contracted to Newcastle Football Club as expected. But the 52-year-old is said to be open to the move to United.
Yeah, but we all know that there's been mention of Dan Ashworth for a long time. So it's not a shock him breaking that. Okay. And he's not actually broke it to say United are in contact. He's saying United will be in contact. But that's what we've all been expecting for a while. So to me, it's not the breaking the news, the being briefed with the news for a reason, and I don't like it. It doesn't sit well with me. And the only reason why it doesn't sit well with me is because I thought with INEOS coming in, I thought they were going to do a different approach. This doesn't seem professional enough for me. And like I say, you will get a lashback from Newcastle over the way it's been done.
So David Brailsford, he's got a long-standing relationship as well with Dan Ashworth. I think was it the summer of 22? Brailsford went over to Portugal at a training camp Newcastle were having to have a chat amongst the players about sporting excellence.
Yeah, but we know the contact. It's been briefed. We've heard the stories about it all. And the thing is, they're talking about, yes, he's coming. You know, it's being reported that he's the top target and all that. Well, there is other journalists reporting saying he's not interested. He's not coming. You know, I've seen reports there from reporters up in Newcastle, and they're saying he's not interested. He's staying at Newcastle.
Well, you would expect him to say that, wouldn't you? You'd expect him to sit there and back their own club and have a stance there, put a wall up that he's not leaving Newcastle because, like we've mentioned, he is a top sporting director, and they will not want him to leave, surely. But
I've looked at reports in the mainstream media. United make him the #1 target, but he's not looking forward to leaving Newcastle. There's reports coming out all over. It's confusing, and that's why I'm saying to me, it doesn't sit well. Is he coming? Reports say no. Then there's reports saying he wants to come. It's who do you pick? That's why I'm not happy.
Yeah, Dan Ashworth has said in the past about Sir Dave Brailsford, like we mentioned, that long-standing relationship they've got. And he has said in the past, I've known Sir Dave for a number of years, working across various different sports, and he is without doubt the best in the world at creating high-performance culture and turning that into winning. There has been some brilliant messages for us all, and it was great to see him and get back to him in pre-season. And that was going back in 2002 when he linked up with Newcastle, Sir Dave Brailsford.
Yeah, listen, I don't doubt there's a massive loving between Dan Ashworth and INEOS. I don't doubt it whatsoever, and I don't doubt that they feel there's a lot of worth having Dan Ashworth in at Manchester United. You know, it's a massive project what he's got. He's been given at Newcastle, and to me, I look at it and think, well, why would he leave?
Yeah.
You know, I look at it. So there might be problems down there. You know, you look at what they're going to look for. They're going to look for domination. Well, why come to Manchester United? I'm just being devil's advocate here. This is how I look at it, right? At Newcastle, money is no problem and will be no problem down the line. We've got pure money problems. We're in debt, FFP, you name it, the lot. The way Newcastle are, they can fund projects outside of the ground. They can fund the players on the team.
But as a Manchester United fan, and I'm sure a lot of us and people out there will say, but this is Manchester United. The global reach this club has got, the fan base, you know, the history, the name on the badge, it's much, much bigger than Newcastle United.
I agree with you. But Dan Ashworth has gone there because he was been given a project, okay? His vision. This is something he can achieve at Newcastle. And it was all there. Why suddenly would you turn round and go, well, I'm out of here? It might be a mistake. And there is, listen, we know the chaos, what's gone on at United, and it's not over on and off the pitch, especially off the pitch. We don't know where the future is going to be. We don't know if INEOS are going to be. These are questions,
of course,
that Dan Ashworth will be asking. We don't know, do we, if INEOS are going to be the owners. We don't know if the Glazers are staying or going, or they'll be bought out. We don't know. So would Dan Ashworth really want to come not knowing all these questions to be answered? Me, I look at Newcastle, I think that's a tremendous project. If I was Dan Ashworth, and I'd say to myself, I've got the freedom here. I've been brought in with trust.
Do you think at Newcastle they're looking from the outside, and obviously we're not Newcastle United fans, but he's working under less restrictions at Newcastle because of the financial backing he's got, whereas he comes to here, we've already mentioned the debt, FFP, etc. You know, there's limitations here at Manchester United and what they can and can't spend. So do you think he'd be wary of that, or any sporting director coming in here?
I think he would be wary of a lot of things at Manchester United. But the thing is, he's got a brief. He's got a project what says, we're going to overtake Manchester United. So if he leaves Newcastle, he knows what's coming. Yeah. He knows the problems, right, that United are going to have to face. So to me, I wouldn't leave if I was Dan Ashworth. Yeah. That's me personally. I wouldn't leave because my job is to overtake Manchester United.
Manchester City.
Right.
Liverpool.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you've got to remember, Fergie came to Manchester United. His job, he said, was to overtake Liverpool.
Knock them off the perch.
Knock them off the perch. Well, the thing is, Dan Ashworth knows that the resources and the funding and the project what's there is all lined out to overtake Manchester United. And is there stability in the background at Manchester United? That's the questions he's got to ask, and I'd love to ask, and I'd love to find out the answers to them.
Yeah, just going into a bit of background as what he's done at previous clubs, etc., just to get an insight of what a sporting director does. And at West Brom, he oversaw 4 departments. At Brighton, who he joined in early 2019, that swelled up to 7, and that included the men's first team, the women's first team, recruitment, loans, academy, medical and sports science, and psychology and mental well-being. At Newcastle, he assumed an even wider range role. So he's got a lot on his plate there as a sporting director, and it covers, you know, a large basis what goes on at the football club.
He's got a lot on his plate.
And there'll be a lot on his plate if he comes to Manchester United, surely.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, he's at Newcastle with people who he trusts and understands and gets on fine with. He can come to United here, and it's like
But wouldn't he have that, though, with Sir Dale Brailsford and INEOS, who, like we've been saying all through the video, he's got a good working relationship there?
On and off the pitch, there's massive changes coming. There's no stability here for quite a while with Manchester United, with all the employees, what work behind the scenes, with the people what play on the pitch, what are in the squads and everything else like that. There is no stability here, right? And you just never know. And I put it in again. And if he doesn't know what's going on with the Glazers and the selling of the club and the INEOS deal, are they able to buy it down the line? If he doesn't know that, I would stay well clear to committing my future to Manchester United when I've got this project and a fantastic project, what it is in the future. Yes, it will take time for Newcastle to get there, okay? But it's a project what I've got every faith that Dan Ashworth believes in.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank David Mack and Steffi Griffin for keeping the like count. Anyone who's joining us, watching us right now, smash that like button.
Thank you.
Just going to go on to what Richard James says, and he's correct. He went, FFP rules are hammering Newcastle also.
Yeah, but they know they're dealing with it. They're dealing with it. They know there's a project. They know the problems, and they're dealing with it. They've got lots of investment going on outside Newcastle. They're working with Newcastle Council. We're not working with any councils about building up a project later on.
We are the stadium with Andy Burnham.
With no details. This is what I'm saying here. Newcastle are well into that project, sitting down round the table discussing. Andy Burnham.
So you think they're more advanced in projects going around Newcastle
that's
than we
right,
are, where
yeah.
we've only had just conversations?
Their infrastructure, I've seen things flatten down. United aren't even there. And you must remember with Manchester United, you've just mentioned Andy Burnham, the mayor of Manchester. Well, let's get something straight here.
I know what you're going to say.
Let's get something straight here. You are going to hear from politicians, right, when there's a vote, when they want your vote this year, more times than anything, okay? And they'll say anything. United haven't sat down, discussed, and we don't even know the plans. They don't even know what they're going to do at anything. This is a long-term project, what's going to go on and on and on. Newcastle are there, ready to take that extra step, either next season or the season after.
Me personally, I think Dan Ashworth would be silly not to come to Manchester United if offered the role. I really do. I understand your opinion.
No, it's not.
That Newcastle might be a little bit further ahead in their project going forward on the field and off the field. But I think, like we've mentioned before, that relationship he's already got with INEOS Ashworth, I think that's beneficial for us in getting our man, to be honest with you. And again, I'll keep saying it. I've got the rose-tinted glasses on 24/7. This is Manchester United, and the size of this club, of where we are currently, but where it could be in the future, in the next 5 to 10 years, could be absolutely huge. And I think it'd dwarf Newcastle, to be honest.
Listen,
no matter how much money they've got, because like that comment said earlier on, FFP rules are coming into place now, and a lot of clubs are looking at that a lot more like, well, they're scrutinising it a lot more.
Yeah, but rules will change, right?
Of course.
Right? Premier League and all that, they will start having their own votes to suit themselves. We see it all the time. Look, let's get something straight. I'm not saying Dan Ashworth shouldn't come here. Listen, I'm a Manchester United fan. Chop my arm off and I'll get in there. All right, and work for nothing. Simple as. Yes, Dan Ashworth, come to United. I want you to come to United. I'm just saying, right, that I think that Dan Ashworth, when you look at the job he's got there, what he's been given, what the trust from the people around him, what I'm saying to you, there is things here going on at Manchester United what aren't settled yet, what aren't set in stone. And he went to Newcastle, everything was set in stone, and he trusts everybody around him. You walk in there, it's a nest of vipers.
Okay.
And will be for a while, on and off the field. That's all I'm saying. So, and I'm not giving him a clear run at it as though INEOS are turning around saying that's the #1 target. It's best in class. I'm not saying he's best in class. You know, time only will tell in a job like this if he is best in class.
Yeah, because he has got to turn it around.
He has to turn it
Considering
around.
the actual strategy over the last, let's say, 10 years in the type of recruitment we've been taking here at Manchester United, but the recruitment, what we want to change going forward, and a lot of that surely is going to be an emphasis on youth development as well. But then again, if you look at some of the youth teams at Manchester United, I think is it the under-18s, not been beaten in 14 games. It looks like there's a core group of young lads there that could progress into the first team. So there is some youth there that can be worked on in the next few years or the short term.
Yeah, I would have been more confident.
And that'll help us with FFP as well in spending, surely.
Yeah, FFP is going to affect everyone. Newcastle know exactly where they are. They know exactly where they are. Dan Ashworth knows where they are with Newcastle. So what I'm saying to you is, Dan Ashworth's there. I would have been a little bit more persuading that I'm happy with Dan Ashworth coming if he'd have spent a few more years at Newcastle with the role what he was given, with the trust from the people. That's all I'm saying. Okay, anyone comes into United, what is he? The greatest player, the greatest boardroom member, the greatest this? No, they're not. What they have to do is prove themselves, right?
Yeah,
and it's a very confusing and not turmoil. It's chaotic time at Manchester United. So for someone to come in and everyone's screaming, "Oh, he's the best in class, he's great, is this," that's dangerous to me.
No, I do agree with that statement, to be fair. You've got to prove yourself here at Manchester United.
That's right.
You know, we've bought many players who have supposedly been the greatest midfielder, the greatest centre-forward, the greatest centre-back.
Yeah.
And they've come here over the last 10 years and failed. And you just hope, though, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS, you know, when that stake is actually approved, signed and sealed, you know, we do start making steps going forward and we do see massive changes, but we do need the best in class who have got experience in doing the jobs at other clubs. Now, has Dan Ashworth actually got that at doing it at elite clubs?
Well, where he's gone, he's turned it round, he's improved, and that's all you can ask for. So if he does come, and if United do make contact, and if they haven't upset Newcastle as much as I think they have, and he does come, fantastic, get on with the job. You'll be given free rein because obviously INEOS trust you, they know how you work, and they're going to give you a free rein, okay? And that's what you want. And if you look at INEOS, they went and got Omar Barindi.
Barada.
But I don't know why I call him Barindi, but I'm calling him...
Because you say Bayinde
That's
outside the goalkeeper.
Right. Barada, okay. They went and got him. He, you know, I've listened about what people have said about him. Absolutely over the moon with that. And if INEOS can carry on in that way, getting the best in class, as people see it, then great. The future looks bright. But... and I say, but Dan Ashworth has to look at it and go, is the future bright? Because the Glazers are still there. And while they're there, anything can happen. Right, that's what I would say.
You take a deep breath now, because I'm going to talk about a man who's on your Christmas card list every single year. Just like to thank Stephanie, though, in the chat before they do so, in keeping the like count and the views. So thank you for that. Keep us updated. But yeah, it did say in a piece as well that I seen this morning that United football director John Murtough could be retained in a more administrative role, but sources say it is in the balance as to whether Murtough, who joined United in December 2013, remains under the club's new power brokers. Now,
look.
Does he go?
Don't say another word. Don't say another word. Simple as. People out there what know my opinions, right? Sack him. He's got to go. There's loads of other people what have got to go. John Murtough, he's number one what's got to go. There's no role for him as far as I'm concerned. Anyone out there think there's a role, let us know what the role is. John Murtough's jumped people year after year, every other year, to get a job in there. He is not qualified. You've seen what's happened over the years with him, what he's done to United. Best in class. Not for me. Get him out, and that's what INEOS have got to do. So that report, I've seen loads of them, right? When people talk about John Murtough, what is he? What does he do? Spends 2 weeks in Spain on an holiday trying to sign a Barcelona player.
Some people out there might say, well, John Murtough was instrumental in bringing Erik ten Hag to the club, probably the best manager we may have in the last 10 years.
Only time will tell on that, okay? What he's doing is a good job under the circumstances, okay? He's got terrible circumstances, Erik ten Hag, to deal with, right? I bet John Murtough didn't tell him the problems, what was going on. John Murtough, to me, right, is not fit for the job what he's doing. He's not qualified, not good enough, right, and doesn't get deals done, right, without you and I knowing all about it, and it just goes on for weeks. Poor person at his job in the biggest club in the world. Doesn't suit Manchester United and not good enough. Get rid.
Like we've seen, well, we mentioned earlier on the actual roles that he undertakes, Dan Ashworth at previous clubs. You expect it to be the same or similar, even more at Manchester United. So there might well have to be another person come into the club and work alongside Dan Ashworth, whether that's classed as a sporting director or the director of football, you know, and maybe John Murtough might end up staying here.
No, what if Dan Ashworth comes to United, right, and if United contact Newcastle and it all goes through, Dan Ashworth will have it in his head who to bring in to work under. People he can trust, okay? Not somebody who has gone round in United for the last 10 years, going from one thing to another to another. There's a lot of dead wood behind the scenes here, okay? And Dan Ashworth will not want to be anywhere near it, okay? And, you know, I look at it and I think, big clear out. That, to me, that's more important than the clear out than the squad. Because if United want to go further, you have to have people around you who you think and you know are capable of doing the job. And if John Murtough is capable of doing the job, then please put your comment in there and tell me how.
If we do get Dan Ashworth, though, you expect a lengthy gardening leave, though, given by Newcastle. So I don't think John Murtaugh's going anywhere in the short term. Well, someone will need to still steer the reins here at Manchester United behind the scenes.
Listen, Dan Ashworth is under contract at Newcastle. And to be honest with you, let's get the negotiations underway. And at the end of the day, United may have to pay a big fee to release him. And the quicker they do it, and we're getting him installed by the end of the season, that's all what matters. So there might be a fee here, what's involved.
Yeah, there's plenty of opinions going on in the chat. Shopping Solution says, are you not tired of the negativity, Tony? Because we are. I'm not too sure if he's aiming that at you, but I know with your opinion, you're always balanced.
Yeah, it's just an opinion.
Looking between the lines as well of everything. We can't be overly excited on every rumour, every news report we do here because we don't know how concrete it is. But also...
Yeah, listen, reports, as I said at the beginning, okay, I think them reporters in the media are being briefed by certain people from INEOS, okay? That's my opinion, okay? Negative, all the negative around the club, that's going to go on for a while. There's going to be carnage and chaos. People have got to be removed. Players have got to be removed. Players aren't performing. Players are at it. Players are playing the game. There's lots of things going on. And there will be negativity coming out. But the thing is, you have to overlook that and look further down the line. And what it is, INEOS have come in. They've already made a move, okay? And what you've got to say is, let's hope that they carry it on. And let's hope that they carry it on and buy the Glazers out. And then they've got a free rein. And then let's see where we are in 2 or 3 years. And we might be able to get rid of a lot of negativity. There is always negativity in life. Life thrives on negativity.
Yeah, just got to try and find the positive and do the best you can in this
And that's
world.
my job.
Yeah.
That's my job. Find the positives out of the negatives.
Yeah, talking about working relationships with Dan Ashworth, Brailsford, there's going to have to be a really strong one if he was to come here and work with Erik ten Hag as well, because for me personally, let me know what you think, but the sporting director's role is much bigger than the actual football managers at the club.
I think...
Because they're the ones, surely, who set the actual strategy of what players are being recruited and brought into the first team.
I think Erik ten Hag will be happy that he's working with somebody, and I think he'll have less to do. I think he'll just be talking about on the team, the fitness, the injuries, anything else. You've got to remember, Erik ten Hag, as it's been dropped on him, he gets all the questions. He's the one who's got to answer it all, bat it away. All that pressure, doesn't need it. I think he will be better off, Erik ten Hag, if Dan Ashworth comes into United, the quicker the better, because he will have less to do with the media than anyone else. And INEOS know, listen, Sir Jim Ratcliffe knows the score with Manchester United. Anything what's said, right, at Manchester United is worldwide news. So he knows how to deal with it, and he'll have a different way of approach and have someone else there alongside Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag has took pelters for 2 years here. nearly 2 years, pelters, and he's had no one to help him. And I think Dan Ashworth and the rest of the team will work that out. And I think it'll be beneficial for Erik ten Hag going forward. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it'd also be beneficial for Erik ten Hag to have a sporting director like Dan Ashworth as well, who knows the actual Premier League. He knows exactly what is required. And I think with, as you said before, he's took a lot on Erik ten Hag since he's come to the club. And I think it's, with certain players we've signed, I think he's underestimated the Premier League, and he's underestimated certain players that he's signed that they'd actually hit the ground running here at Manchester United and in the league. And hopefully Dan Ashworth will bring a lot more experience in terms of recruitment as well. It
depends on players who you look at. I mean, you know, all managers have made boo-boos on players, okay? But when you're looking at Jack Grealish, for instance, for £60 million from Aston Villa, and then the man in charge, the man in charge turns round and goes and gets Donny van der Beek for 20 million more. Oh. You know, they're things what happens.
Yeah, so what you're saying is the rumours that we heard were that Manchester United were interested in Jack Grealish, obviously before he went to City, and the price was £60 million that Aston Villa set. But Ed Woodward bulked at that price and went and got Donny van der Beek for 40 million, saving 20 million.
That's right. So they thought he was a decent player. Mistakes are always going to be made, but it's best to be made by people who can quickly rectify it and see the mistake by having proper football people in there. Woodward wasn't, certainly, nor's John Murtough as far as I'm concerned. So having Dan Ashworth there and people around him who he knows are professional. Let's be a professional club now.
But do you think the manager Ten Hag will be happy about certain roles being took away from him in terms of transfers? Because, you know, by all reports over the last 12, 18 months, he's had a strong connection with his agent, Kees Vos, who's at the SEG International, the agency, and they've done a lot of recruitment in terms of the players that they brought in here at Manchester United.
Listen, there's a new regime in now. Everyone has to give a little bit. Everyone has to, like, say, OK, that's your responsibility. I used to do that. It's give and take here. Yeah. OK, give and take. And if you look at coaches and managers, I'm not sure there's anything different in them, really, coaches and managers. I'm not sure if you look around Europe and around the world. If you look there, lots of managers now are running the team, and they're giving players. But they've gone to the club knowing this is what happens. And I don't know, really, what went on at Ajax. Who recruited the players there? Was it all Erik ten Hag? I don't know. No. Would he? No, I'm just saying. Would he be happy just taking the players, coaching them, putting them out there, and having more of that responsibility, and not having to worry, knowing that you've got idiots running the club, looking at players and having to get involved and buy and pick players himself? He's took the flat. He's took the flat for everything. So at the end of the day, changes are coming. And his job will change.
Yeah, the Life of Riley says, to be fair, I think a lot gets lost in translation with Erik ten Hag. So someone like Dan Ashworth would be a massive plus.
I thought you meant us then.
Yeah, I actually thought that, to be fair, because I'm sure it does sometimes, especially with our accents.
Oh, yeah.
The way we describe things like, who's it, Barado, Barida.
Barindi. So you just have to accept. Yeah. Once it's in my head, that's it. It's coming out.
Yeah, Stephen Harper says, just wanted to say, great show again.
Thank you.
Just glad that I've managed to catch a live show. Much appreciated for joining us and taking your time out, and plus everyone else out there.
Yeah, love it.
Stephanie says, almost 500 watching, 150 likes. Can we get them likes up, Stephanie? Start putting it about in the chat if they've enjoyed it, etc.
8,000.
Yeah, all of a sudden gone up to 8,000 watch.
8,000.
But yeah, anything to add before we wrap up?
No, listen, things are going to change. You know, we do need Dan Ashworth there. Got a good CV. I'd be happy to have him here. But I think there's a big problem what's coming. I think it's going to unsettle Newcastle, and I think they might dig their heels in.
Yeah, John One Kenobi says, thanks, guys. Richard James says, great chat. Shopping Solutions ain't happy in the chat. He says, who will like all that negativity, Stephanie?
Who's got negativity?
There's no one here who's actually giving negativity. The way I see it, I think you're just picking at things there, my mate. But again, if you don't like the negativity, you don't like the chat, what I always say to my son and everything else, don't take no notice, don't watch.
No, it's not that. It's not negativity. What it is, it's a different opinion, and it's a different way of looking at it. Yeah. Okay? Instead of going, Now, I'm not criticising you neither.
Yeah.
Okay, I think
You've
if
got to
you,
have a balanced view.
I'm trying to have a balanced view, but I'm also trying to look at it from years and years of experience as well. Okay, nothing's settled here, and at the end of the day, negotiations by reporters and newspapers is not the way to go. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we've put our name to that. We'd like Dan Ashworth here at Manchester
Oh
United.
yeah, I'd like him here.
I don't think we've ever said that throughout today's video. We're happy with the movement today as well with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and getting that double approval by the Premier League and FA.
Yeah.
So things are starting to move in the right direction now, and hopefully things can like speed up a little bit.
We point out the positives and we also point out the negatives, and that's on cue.
Yeah, right on cue, because I don't know if you just noticed, one of the lights has just gone out. But
Boom.
I'd just like to thank every single one of you for joining in today. The actual chat's been popping off.
Thank you.
Much appreciated for Stephanie and Dave Mack for keeping the like count and the view totals. If you have enjoyed today's video, just leave a like on the video, help support the channel, and we'll be back tomorrow with another video. So you enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.